All right, it's just about 11 o'clock. So thank you again. If you're just joining us, thank you for following me over to Union.fit. Both David Vendetti and myself have moved over from our previous kind of ad hoc Vimeo.com and Zoom, and we're going to be trying this out for now. So if you have any difficulties or have any constructive feedback, please feel free to let us know, either message us or send us emails, because we'll be using this for a little while. And as we get more and more content, we're going to be uploading all of those videos from Vimeo, and they are adding some social features more similar to Zoom very quickly. So we'll be able to bring that back in as well. Um, but I can't believe it's been 2 months of doing this. So I figured since we're moving over to a new platform, that a new romper would be appreciated as well. So I just got this in. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, it's as stretchy as the last one. But just come into a comfortable seat. You can sit kneeling or cross-legged, whatever works better for you. I prefer kneeling just to start to wake up my quads and my thighs a little bit. And I also find that it helps me sit up a little bit taller and straighter through the spine. But if kneeling doesn't work for you, you can always sit cross-legged. Just allow yourself to settle back as you close your eyes. Just let yourself feel the positioning of your body. Notice if you feel like you're leaning a little to one side or the other, or are you starting to round forward already? Zip up a little bit gently through the midline. So a little lift to the chest, but also to the middle of the ribs in the back of the body. So you're not arching towards the ceiling, but you're really trying to grow some space all the way around your waist. Shoulders back over the hips. And then just let the shoulders relax down and back. And start to take some deeper breaths. You know Ujjayi, coming right into your Ujjayi practice. Solid, smooth inhale with that gentle contraction at the back of the throat, flowing right into a solid, smooth exhale, keeping the noise of the sound the same. And as you breathe, just feeling the breath and its effect on the body, getting some gentle movement up and down the spine. Soothing the whole nervous system. And that's keeping this relaxed feeling. If you're kneeling, just sit back, extend your left leg forward, draw your right foot in towards the inner thigh, coming into a Janu Sirsasana shape, but we're going to start with a side bend. So turning a little bit open to your right, you can bend the left knee if you need to. Just bring your left hand or elbow down to the inside of the leg, reach your right arm up and overhead, and just take a side bend over that left leg. Just a gentle one. You can relax the head, look any direction that works. You can work this bottom arm into the inside of the leg if it reaches to help you twist open more. And just breathe here. You can kind of shift your center of gravity a little bit forward and backwards to shift the stretch more to the inside of the leg, a little more to the outside of the leg, whatever works better. And then gently sit up and cross your right foot over the left. Just sitting up nice and tall. Make sure you're grounded pretty evenly across your sit bones. And then start to twist to your right. Bring your left hand or the elbow onto the knee. And as you turn through the chest, Really still think about lifting up, so you're spiraling up out of your seat rather than rounding down to the side. You can engage that left foot or keep it relaxed, but I find engaging the heel a little into the floor helps me ground and get a slightly deeper twist. Let's give it a couple really good breaths. And then come back to center. Keep the cross of the leg. Now, depending on your flexibility, you may need a block for this. So if you can, get the knee all the way over. So right knee over the left knee, coming into a half Gomukhasana in Paschimottanasana. Just bringing the right heel into your hips, sitting up tall, and then starting to work your upper body a little bit forward, maybe a lot. Again, it depends on your range of motion, especially this early in class. Just coming into a gentle forward fold here. It can be really intense on this lateral hamstring, so go really carefully. The internal rotation of the thighs really targets the stretch there. If this doesn't work, just cross the ankle over the thigh in a figure four, support the knee, and give yourself a forward fold. There's no reason to try to force the knee into position, so you can always use that extra support. Then with your next breath, gently sit up, and we'll just do that whole sequence on the second side. So extending the right leg out, bring your left foot to the inner thigh. Again, take a moment, gonna make sure you're seated fairly evenly on the hips, nice and open to the left a bit, and then bring your right hand or elbow down to the inside of the leg. You can work the arm into the leg to help you twist open, and then just bring the left arm gently overhead for a side bend. And looking whatever direction works for your neck. You can ground the heel, you can let it relax. You can definitely bend the knee if that helps you get a little bit more weight up and over to your right. Nice, smooth, solid breath here. And then sitting up, draw the leg in, cross your left foot over, setting up for your twist, grounding into that foot, sitting up nice and tall, and then twisting to your left. You don't have to pass the leg. You can just hold it in your hand or maybe grab it in your elbow. Bring your left fingertips behind you for support. Sit up nice and tall. Maybe ground that front heel. See if that helps you kind of get a little bit of an extra lift. And then breathe back into the twist. And then as you let the twist go, keep the cross of the leg. Again, you can take the modification, figure four, supporting the knee as you come into your forward fold, or crossing the left knee all the way over the right, half Gomukhasana in Paschimottanasana, and then start to sit forward. Ooh. If, like me, this side is tighter, maybe don't go down as far, but use your breath to help you soften this line. And don't expect to get deeper than you would in a regular forward fold. This internal rotation makes it a lot tighter for this lateral line. And then gently sit up. Uncross the legs. You can shake it out if you need to. And then come over onto your hands and knees, just setting up for a few rounds of cat-cow. Fingers spread under the shoulders, knees as wide as the hips, and just start to arch and flex the back. Just getting some nice movement along the spine. If some side-to-side movements would feel good, just add whatever helps you warm up. We're still just starting class here. Just kind of feeling your way with your breath. And then set yourself up for downward dog. So spread your fingers nice and wide, plant the palms, and work back a little bit more into the legs. Again, you can just start to move a little bit through the postures. We're just warming up. So maybe pedal it out, shift around a little bit side to side. Then we'll twist this downward dog. So walk your feet to the edges of the mat, but still try to keep the outer edges of the feet parallel. We tend to go a little bit wide through the toes when we widen our stance. So keep the toes turned a little in. Walk your hands back a little bit so there's more weight in your feet. Then bend your knees, reach your right arm underneath, grab the outside of your left shin as close to the heel as you can get. And then as you re-straighten that leg, twist the upper body under, but shift your hips to the right. So you're really working that left heel down and a little bit that left hip towards the back of the room. And then release to center. We'll just do that on the second side. So soften your knees, reach your left arm underneath, grab the outside of your right shin as close to the heel as you can. And as you straighten the leg, ground the right heel, work the right hip towards the back, and slide both of your hips a little bit to the left. And then let that go. Walk your hands all the way back towards the feet. Bring your feet closer together. Bend your knees. Cross your right foot in front of the left. And then fold down over cross legs. You'll be tempted to keep all of your weight on the left foot as you shift your hips to the right, but try to ground as much of the right foot as you can. Keep your knees as bent as you need to, and then just fold over your cross legs. I like to keep the knees at least a little soft so that the front leg doesn't lock out the back knee. And then come to center and just cross the other way. Soft knees, get as much weight evenly across your feet as you can, and then fold back down over your crossed legs. Work the breath into the back of the body. And then uncross. Walk your hands out to your downward facing dog. Give yourself a breath there. Ground the palms. Of course, back through the chest. And then slowly walk your feet up to the hands. Nice long flat back. And fold down. Inhale, slowly bring yourself all the way up to standing, reaching the arms up overhead. And then hands to heart, feet together at the front of the mat. Now from here, we'll just do a little bit of a side bend. So shift your weight onto your right foot, bring your hands to your hips, and just step your left foot out to the side. All your weight stays. I switched to mirroring already. So your left foot is out to the side. Your weight is on the right foot. Just use the left foot for support and balance. Don't have any weight on it. And then keep your left hand on the hip for support and reach your right arm up and over, coming into your side bend, allowing the hips to shift off to the side. You can start off by slightly twisting up towards the ceiling with the chest, like you're looking really far off into the distance. But try to stay fully grounded on that right foot. Don't roll to the outer edge of the foot. Keep the big toe mound grounded. Then stay to the side, but turn a little bit towards the floor. You can keep your left hand on the waist if you need that support, or grab a hold of your right wrist with your left hand and give it a little extra traction all the way up that right side. And then bring it back up to center, and we'll just switch. So shifting your weight onto the left, right toes step out to the side for balance, and then left arm up and over. And twisting a little bit up towards the ceiling to start, just coming into the front side body here. Staying grounded through the whole left foot. And then start to turn slightly towards the floor again. You can keep your hand at the hip or grab a hold of your upper wrist and just give it a little tug. And then back up to center. And again, feet together at the front of your mat, hands to heart. Surya Namaskar. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Nice long flat back. And step or float back, Chaturanga. Forward facing dog, nice long neck. And pull back, downward facing dog. In this first downward dog, reach your right leg up. Bend the knee and open the hip. Stay grounded in your left heel. Try not to let that left foot twist off to the side. So the left foot stays nice and engaged into the floor. And as you keep that right hip opening, you can start to straighten the leg, but still reaching across at a diagonal to the left behind you. You can change the angle of the hips a little bit, just working towards a stretch somewhere around the right side of your waist. You may need to drop the foot a little bit lower towards the floor to get it. And then just come back to center, set the foot down, lift your left leg, bend the knee, open the hip, keep your right foot nice and even and grounded. And just opening up through that left thigh to start. You can start to straighten the leg, reaching out through the big toe. And then bring it back to center, set the foot down, take a breath in your downward facing dog. And then hop or step to the front, lengthen out, flat back, and fold down. Inhale to rise, and hands to heart. Again through, inhale, reach up, exhale, fold forward. Nice long flat back, and step or float back through your vinyasa, from chaturanga to forward facing dog, and back to downward facing dog. In this downward dog, lift your right leg, come up nice and high, tuck the right knee into the chest. As you round forward, stay forward, thread the leg under you to the left, keep both hands on the ground, and start to slide your hips and that foot back until you're in down dog with the right leg crossed underneath. Working the right hip towards the back of the room, trying to get a stretch still up the lateral side of that right leg. And then step back to center, lift your left leg, knee to nose, round it in, thread the leg underneath you to the right, and just work back into your right heel, letting that left foot slide back as much as it needs to. It's really up to you to find the right angles that work for this. Just trying to get the stretch up the outside of your left leg. And then step back to center, give it a breath in downward dog. And then hop or step to the front, flat back, and fold. Inhale to stand. and hands to heart. Again, inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Flat back and vinyasa. Step or float back. And just breathing your way through. And press back to your downward facing dog. Now from this downward facing dog, we're going to do it slightly different. Come forward into your high plank. Shift your heels to the right. Reach your left arm up, coming into side plank. You can stack the feet or keep them separated, but just try to stack your hips, lift up with your bottom hip, get your right shoulder nice and firm underneath you, and just hold your balance. And then back to plank, and just over to the second side. Heels to the left, right arm reaches up. Make sure that left wrist is pretty much stacked right underneath your shoulders, and maybe lift up through that bottom hip. If the hand is too far in front of you, you'll be tempted to push away, and that puts a lot of tension into the neck. If it's right underneath, you can feel a little pull towards your feet through the arm. And then back to plank, and back to downward facing dog. Give it a breath. Soften your knees, and hopper step to the front. Flat back, and fold down. Inhale all the way up, and hands to heart. Once more through, inhale, reach. Exhale, dive. Flat back, and step or float your way back through. From this downward facing dog, come forward to your plank again, and bring your right knee up into the chest. Put your back heel down on the ground. As you lean into your right hand, grab a hold of your right knee in your left hand until you're in side plank with that bottom leg drawn up into your chest. You can either hold like this, you can grab the outer edge of the foot, start to straighten the leg, and then step back to plank. Draw your left knee into the chest. Anchor your right heel down. As you come onto your left hand in side plank, grab a hold of that bottom knee. You can either hold the knee or you can grab the foot. Step it back to plank, back to downward facing dog. Take a full solid breath in your downward dog. And then soften your knees and hopper step forward. And hop. Inhale all the way up to stand and hands to heart. Now full vinyasa, sit down into your chair pose. Take a deep breath in and fold down. Inhale to your flat back and hopper step back. And Chaturanga, upward facing, and back to downward facing dog. From downward facing dog, lift your right leg up. Draw your knee into your chest, rounding forward. Cross your right knee to the left elbow, trying not to twist the rest of the body. Inhale, reach it back. Knee to nose, draw it in. Bring right knee to left elbow. And then three-legged dog, send it back. Again, round it in. Knee to left elbow. Again, three-legged dog, send it back. And then step all the way forward, coming into your high lunge. As you stand up, just drop the tailbone a little bit. Square the hips towards the front of the room. Just reach your arms up into the air, finding a nice solid balance. Try not to lean forward too much into your front leg. Keep your weight more or less centered. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, dip the back knee almost to the mat, round over your front thigh, but stay shifted backwards. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, round, pull it in. Again, inhale, reach. Exhale, pull in. Inhale, lift it up. Exhale, dip it down. Again, lift. One more time, dip in. Inhale, back up to your lunge. Bring your right hand to the hip. Keep the back knee a little bent. And just side bend up and over to the right, reaching over through your left arm. Get that little scissoring adduction between your legs, holding your right knee in towards the midline. And then come back up, cross left elbow over right thigh, and take your twisting lunge. Work the elbow down, keep that left shoulder down away from the neck, and lift up through the chest. Now you can stay here. You can slide a little deeper into your twist, opening the arms, bringing your left hand down. If this is all working, you have the option of twisting scissors, Kundalini, bringing the hands to the ground outside the mat, and then leaning down, getting that right knee up over your left elbow, and maybe extending the legs. Bring it back up into your lunge. And then everyone vinyasa. Hands down, step back, lower halfway. Inhale forward, and exhale back. Left leg up. Round forward, knee to nose. Bring left knee over to right elbow. Try not to twist. Inhale, reach it back. Exhale, bring it forward. Left knee to right elbow. Inhale back. Again, pull it forward. Cross left knee to right elbow. Inhale, reach it out. Step straight forward, high lunge. Lunge. Again, get that little length to your tailbone so you're not leaning forward too much or too back. Deep breath in. As you exhale, dip and round. Inhale to lift. Exhale, draw in. Inhale, open. Exhale, contract in. And lift up. And draw it in. Once more, inhale, open. Exhale, round. Dip that back knee, scissor inwards. Inhale, open. Stay in your high lunge. Left hand to the hip. And right arm up and over. And doing your best to keep your legs fairly level. So not letting that front knee wing to the side. And then coming back up, cross right elbow over left thigh, and take your twisting lunge. Cap the shoulders down away from your neck. Keep the back knee a little bent. Make sure you have some proprioception of what's happening to that back heel. Maybe stay there, maybe open the arms, getting a little deeper into your twist. Or maybe you're set up for the arm balance. Hands come to the ground, leaning over onto your right arm as you bend the elbows, bring the head and chin forward, extend the legs. Try not to collapse your left shoulder. Back up into your lunge and vinyasa. Give yourself a couple breaths in your downward dog, or rest in child's pose, or if you've been talking this whole time, maybe take a drink. If you're in child's pose, just let yourself rest. If you're in down dog, getting that nice draw back and extension through the sides of the waist. And then from wherever you are, make your way to the front of your mat again. Hopper step, lengthen out, and fold. Through chair pose, rise up, and stand up, hands to heart. Now from standing at the front, come back into your chair. Bend your knees, sit back, reach your arms up. Settle your weight back into your heels. Don't let the legs collapse together. Keep the inner thighs rotating open so you're getting kind of equal strength between both legs. Hands to heart. And twist to your right, bring your left elbow over the right thigh. Again, don't collapse the legs together. Work the chest open. Keep your weight shifted back. Bring a little more weight onto your left foot. Lift your right heel. Press the knee into the elbow as you stand up. Knee comes into the elbow. You can stay. You can open up into a full standing twist if you'd like. Grabbing a hold of the outer edge of the foot with the left hand. And then as you face forward, cross that right ankle over the left thigh and sit back into your figure four for kind of a Galavasana setup, but we're not doing the arm balance yet. Just allowing yourself to sit back, getting the stretch for the hips, really sitting your hips backwards, squatting back into the standing heel. If you can get a little more over the shin, you can lengthen the spine a bit more. And then carefully stand up, and we'll just switch sides. Feet more or less together, sit back into your chair pose. Hands to heart, and right elbow over left thigh. And just work the twist. Get that right foot really steady and stable into the ground. Lift your left heel. Press the left knee into the elbow as you stand up. So you're almost picking the upper body up with your leg. Again, you can stay. You can grab the knee with your right hand as you twist open. You can grab the whole outer edge of the foot and come into the full standing twist. Just whichever makes sense for you. Coming back to center, cross ankle over thigh for figure four, and start to squat back into the leg. Again, just shifting the stretch into that left hip here. And doing your best to keep the hips nice and low so you can really extend the spine more or less parallel to the floor. And then gently stand up and shake it out. Full vinyasa. From the front of your mat, sit back into your chair pose and fold forward. Flat back, extend, and take your vinyasa. Then from this downward facing dog, lift your right leg up and simply step to the inside of your right thumb. As you set the back knee down, slide it back, just twisting quad stretch. Lean into your left hand. As you twist to the right, bring your right hand to the inner thigh. Start to walk that foot out and either keep your back foot down and just traction out, or grab a hold of the foot in your right hand and draw it into the hips. Don't collapse left shoulder. Stay lifted through the left chest. And then just play with the angles, maybe a little more open, maybe a little more closed. Then stay more or less in this shape, but just release the foot if you had it. Lean a little heavier into your left arm. Turn your right toes all the way to the side. Flex your back foot, those toes to the side as well. And then kind of lean back into your left hip, twisting the chest to the right. Kind of sinking down into your left arm and left hip. The weird side lounging position. You may need to lift this back knee a little, pressing into the outer edge of the foot. And we're just trying to get into the outside of the hip here. If you're really flexible there, you might not feel it. It might be subtle. If you're a little tighter on the sideline, it might be pretty deep. And then come back to center. Walk your right foot in for your low lunge. And bring your hands to your hips. Now for this side bending low lunge, you might want to block on your right side for your hand, but if you can get low enough in your lunge, you can bring your right hand to the ground, reach your left arm up and come over. If your right hand is on the floor or a block, you can tuck your back toes, lift the knee, and reach out through the heel as you reach the left side of your chest slightly forward into the stretch. Just really stretching out the left side of your waist. Don't lift that back knee too high though. Keep working down and back out of that left hip. And then release back to center. Square everything off. So walk your right foot in, point your back toes, sit a little bit deeper into your front heel, bring your hands to the thigh. So you're on the top of the back foot. It's not tucked, they're pointed. Lean forward, scissor your legs into each other to lift that back knee up. Pointed toe lunge. Keep your hands here or reach them up. Dip a little bit down. As you lift, twist the upper body to the right. Reach out through the arms. Keep your right knee into center. Come back to the middle. Dip down. Lift up. Twist open to the right. Hold steady. Dip down. One more time. Lift up. Twist open to the right. And then vinyasa. Hands to the floor. Step back. Lower halfway. From chaturanga to upward facing dog. And back to downward facing dog. From downward dog, lift your left leg and just step inside your left thumb for that twisting quad stretch on the second side. So your left leg is forward, slide the right knee back, lean into your right hand, walk that left foot out, either traction the thigh out and just enjoy the twist, or grab the foot. Just using the angles of the pose to guide the stretch into the front of your right hip and thigh. Gently let it go. Lean into your right hand, turn your left toes all the way to the side, flex your back foot, and kind of twist your right hip a little bit more underneath you. Just letting yourself sink a little bit into this right hip to get the stretch. Again, it may be subtle for you. And then bring it back to center, walk that foot in. Bring your hands to the hips. For the side bend, sinking into a deeper lunge. Left hand maybe comes to the ground, maybe tuck the back toes. As you reach up through the right arm, reach back through the right heel. Just pulling open from both sides of that right waist, towards the fingertips and back towards the heel. And then bring it back to center, hands up onto the front thigh, point the back toes. Press into the top of the foot. Make sure that you're not going to the outer edge of the foot, that you're pressing more on top of the big toe. So keeping your kind of effort a little more towards the midline of that back leg. Lean forward into the heel. Scissor the legs, pull inwards to lift that back knee up. Maybe reach the arms up. If you need to, keep them on the front thigh. Dip a little bit down. As you lift, twist open to the left. Dip down and center. Lift, twist open. And dip down. Again, twist open. And then vinyasa. Hands down, step back, lower, breathe open, and pull back. Again, either downward dog or a child's pose or a drink. Either way, just breathing deeply. And then with your next breath, make your way to the front of your mat. Flat back, into your fold. Bend your knees, come up through your chair, and stand up, hands to heart. Now for this next sequence, you might want blocks on either side of the feet at the front of your mat. You won't need them at first, but you might in a couple poses. These thighs are pretty tight on these rompers. Whew, extra yoga challenge today. The feet together, hands to the hips, and just step your left foot back about 3.5 feet for pyramid, squaring off and folding forward. This may be a great place to use the blocks under your hands. Ground into your heels, press back through your right hip, kind of getting that scissoring action, feel a pull up the outside of your right leg, but without lifting the inner edge. Keep that big toe mound down, pulling up through the right hip as you fold. And then working into the twist, keeping the emphasis back in your legs. Your left hand can come closer to the foot, higher on a block, maybe across to the outer edge of the foot. And bring your right hand to the right hip for a moment. Use the thumb and the hip crease to press back. But again, keep this front big toe mound grounded. So you're really getting a little twisting stretch up into the outside of the right thigh and hip. If that works, you can reach the right arm up into the full twisting triangle, or just keep your hand at the hip if that helps you keep the emphasis back in the legs. And then soften, move the block out of the way if you're using it, lean forward, and lift the back leg up into the air, coming into a little bit of a gentle standing split. Don't worry about the lifted leg. Just bow down towards your standing leg. And then from here, bend the knees, drop that left hip, and start to walk your hands to the right, twisting the pelvis around the right leg. Try not to lean to one side or the other, and not letting the hip open. So keep the left hip closed, and just twist a little bit around your right leg. And come back to the middle. Keep the hip closed, walk a little bit to the left. And then walk back to center. You may want your block again. Put it under your left shoulder if you're using it for revolved half moon. Extend the left leg straight behind you. Start to reach your right arm up, feeling that same stretch go up the lateral side of your right leg. You can bend the knees if you need to. And then just bring the hands down, set the feet together, and round your way up to standing and shake it out. And then just the second side. So hands to the hips, step your right foot back, setting up for your pyramid or Parsvottanasana. Square off, give yourself room side to side if you need it, and start to fold down over that front leg. Keep this left hip drawing back, and keep grounded in your heels. Deep breath into your back. And then starting to work towards that twist, right hand in, maybe up on a block. Keep this whole left leg engaged. Pull back through the left hip. Again, it's up to you whether or not you lift the left arm up into the air. It's not necessary. I just want you to get the stretch up the outside of your left hip and leg again. Then release, bring your hands forward and come into that pseudo standing split. Just bowing towards that left leg. The right leg doesn't really matter. And then close your right hip completely, maybe bend both knees. And start to walk your hands around to the left, twisting the pelvis around your left leg. And then back through center and a little bit to the right. Then back to the middle, revolved half moon, extend your right leg behind you. Right hand can come to a block or it can start to float. Left arm either stays at your left hip like in revolved triangle, or maybe starts to reach up into the air as you find your balance. Again, you can bend your knees if that helps you get a nicer twist. And then stand up, feet together, and shake it out. Now from standing at the front, I promised Galavasana. So we'll start off, find a focus point for your balance, shift your weight over onto your left foot, and lift your right leg up. Grab a hold of the right knee in your left hand, and just take a twist. Maybe take that full standing twist. And then as you face forward, bend the standing leg, cross your right knee all the way over, coming into eagle. Now you can just have the foot close to the side of the leg. You don't have to hook the toes around, especially if it's doing weird things to your ankles. But if it hooks, it hooks. Move your hips a little bit back to center, bend both knees, and then wrap right arm over left, going into eagle arms, if your romper allows. Catch your balance, catch your breath. And now uncross into your figure four. Galavasana. We have a couple options. You can just sit down into your figure four. You can take regular Galavasana, but once you come down, you extend your left leg into the air behind you. However, if you're going to work this lateral line that we've been working, once you extend the leg, if you can cross it over to your right shoulder, it's the same one where the bent knee is up on the arm. It's a very difficult stretch. I'm not sure the romper is going to let me do it, but you might get the idea. So coming down into your figure four, into your Galavasana, the left leg lifts, maybe it extends, maybe you cross left knee over right elbow. It's a little tight, but if you can get it under, otherwise just take regular figure four or Galavasana. Give it a couple tries, finding your figure four, squatting back. Then when you're done, just stand up and shake it out. And we'll do that on the second side. So shifting your weight to the right foot, lift your left knee up, grab a hold of it, take your standing twist, maybe deepen the twist by extending the leg. But then facing forward, bend your standing knee and cross the left knee over for full eagle. Sitting back, turn the hips forward. Again, the foot can just be close to the leg, but you still want to get that internal rotation to the top thigh. So don't let the foot go off to the side if you can help it, or hook it around. Then left arm over. Ooh, tight rompers. Elbows up, sit back into the legs. And then standing up, find your figure four, cross the ankle over. Again, either just sit down into figure four, maybe start to work Galavasana, getting your hands to the ground, hooking the foot around your right shoulder, the knee up onto your left shoulder. Once you have it up, maybe the right leg extends, whoa, off to the left underneath you. If you can hook it up over that elbow, give it a couple tries. Whew. Sacrifices I make for you guys. Once you've tried a couple times with the balance, just stand up, shake it out, get a drink of water. And step to the front of your mat. Just make your way to the ground. So come through chair pose, take a deep breath, and exhale, dive. And follow your breath through your vinyasa to downward facing dog. Now from downward facing dog, lift your right leg, bring the knee into the chest, thread it under you to the left like we did at the beginning of class, but instead of sliding back, just set your right hip down. Fallen warrior. It's just like twisting triangle, just falling on the ground. I like to put a block under my right hip. It gives me room to get a little deeper into the twist. You can also use a blanket or just keep it on the ground. But keep the right leg straight out to the side. Don't let it come too far forward. That just gets a different stretch. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just a different place. Keep some space here in your bottom hip as you reach your left elbow forward and down, twisting the chest to the ground. Try not to go backwards. Roll yourself forward so that the floor or the block is actually pulling this right hip down away from your belly. And then twist into the stretch for this right leg. Back leg isn't really necessary as long as it's not dragging you backwards. You can always use the toes to press yourself forward. And then come back up onto your hands. If you have a block or something under your hip, just move it out of the way. And as you sit down, swing that left leg around, coming back into a Janu Shasana stretch. So your right leg is extended, your left leg comes in. Square off towards that right leg, so not like the pose we started with, but regular Janu. And as you turn the belly towards that right thigh, you can either frame the leg with your hands, you can move your hands to the outside of the leg, twisting to the right. If you can get your left hand to the outside of the foot, you can draw yourself into a deeper twist. Now, some of you have the range to actually hook your left elbow to the outside of the leg, flip your hand up to grab the outer edge of the foot with the hand upside down. And then you twist a little more deeply to the right. None of that's necessary. You can just space the leg and turn a little bit. Then gently sit back up. Keep the same shape, just bend the knee. Grab the foot. Well, for starters, if you're really tight in the hips, just grab the knee with your left hand and take the seated upright twist. But if you can grab the outer edge of the foot in your left hand and start to lift the foot up, you can take this open twist, maybe even reach the right arm into the air behind you. Work this foot off to the left as you reach your right arm back. Again, just stretching the outside of this right leg and hip. And then just give yourself a little engagement challenge. Keep the foot where it is. Press the outer edge of the foot into the outer edge of your hands. Let that help you twist a little deeper through the right arm. And then set it down. Now bend your right knee as you shift and just come into pigeon with your right leg forward. Use whatever props you need for your pigeon. Just getting into that right hip. Work the left hip down. And settle down into your legs. So unlike the fallen warrior, now we're trying to get our weight back instead of letting it come forward. And breathe really deeply into the entire back of your body. And come back up onto your hands. We have one more on this side. Sit onto your right hip to bring the left leg forward. But as the left leg comes forward, the left leg tucks under the right, either coming into a seated twist again, or full Gomukhasana, stacking your right knee over the left knee, sitting as evenly between your heels as you can. So Dvipada Vakrasana, double bent leg pose. You can always bring your feet out if you need a deeper stretch for the hips so that your shins are more or less in line. Make sure the knees stay fairly well stacked. And then you can forward fold. Maybe the heels stay in, maybe you're sitting on a block. Just take it wherever you are in your flexibility. And then as you come up, just unravel and step right into downward dog. For the second side of that whole sequence, lift your left leg, bring the knee into the chest, thread it underneath you to the right, and just set your left hip down, or maybe your left hip on a block for that fallen warrior. Make sure the foot doesn't come too far forward, and then really reach out through your right elbow as you twist the chest to the ground. Pulling back on the arms a little bit to roll forward over that bottom hip. And then again, sit up, move that block out from under you, and come into jhana with the left leg extended. Right foot comes in. Again, as you turn to the leg, you can frame it. You can just take a forward fold. Your right hand can come to the outside of the leg or foot. If you can get that right elbow outside the leg, you can flip the hand and just draw your upper body a little bit more over to the left. And then sit up, bend the knee. Again, either twist to your left or grab the outer edge of the foot, lift the foot up and twist. Maybe reach that left arm into the air behind you, working that foot into the arm a little bit. And then if you wanted that little engagement challenge, keep the foot up with your own strength, press the foot into the hand, let that help you twist the upper body a little more to the left, and then bring it down. And then just kind of scoot your way around into pigeon with the left leg forward. So swing your right leg back, left leg forward. Whew. And work into your pigeon. Just working that right hip down. It's pretty much, it's a different stretch for the glutes and the side of the hip, but it's a little bit of a prep for Gomukhasana, at least to get this part of the hip out of the way. And then gently sit up. As you swing that right leg forward, remember, tuck the right leg under the left one so the left leg stays on top for Gomukhasana. Or just seated twist again if you can't quite get the knees stacked. You don't want to try to forward fold if the knees are really not close to vertical, because that'll do the weird things to your knees. You really need to get the knees fairly stacked. And sometimes it actually helps to sit up on a block with your hips to keep the knees low rather than propping the knees up. And then come into whatever forward fold means to you here. Doing your best to keep both hips on the floor or on your block. And then gently sit up, uncross, shake it out. We're actually going to come down onto the back, and we've got a little bit of a sequence down on the back, and it's going to lead to side bridge. So I'll show that first so you don't have to sit back up and look at the screen again, because it can, if you haven't done it before with me, it can be a little awkward to get into. It can still be a little awkward to get into. But we'll do several poses as a preparation into this, and then we'll come into side bridge. So side bridge will end up looking fairly like bridge with the upper body. We'll do Viparita Karani and a couple other postures first. But the thing that tends to happen with side bridge is the same thing that happens in Viparita Karani. So I'll show that one first. In Viparita Karani, the supported version, keeping the hips on the blocks, you want to maintain an arch in the chest as the legs go up. Don't collapse and round the spine. The feet should not come up over your head. Keep your feet forward. Let the back arch, draw your shoulder blades under so the upper body is in a bridge position. Your legs are just straight up in the air. So it's just a double version of that one-legged bridge. The same thing with side bridge. So when you come into it, you'll hug your knees in as if you were prepping for shoulder stand. You'll get your elbows in, lift your hips, try to tuck your right elbow under you, bring your right palm to the sky, fingers away. You're going to sit your tailbone into the middle finger and your sacrum into your palm. So your hips go off to the side. Your left shoulder comes under for support. And then you sit down into the hands. So you don't collapse like this. This is what a lot of people end up doing. You're just patting your bum. I guess that feels good, but it doesn't really do much. Try to get your knees and thighs pointed towards the ceiling and sit down into your hand. It can be a lot for your wrist. And then you can play with the extension of the legs in one direction and then the other, just kind of reaching out. And then we'll come back to the middle and we'll do it on the second side, sitting down into that hand. Again, knees up to the sky. This is the stretch for the left side of my low belly here. And then you can play with the extension of the legs or just keep the knees up and together and try not to round your back. But first, just come onto the back and set up a regular bridge. Brush your heels with your fingertips. Press down evenly into the feet. As you lift the hips, roll your shoulders under, and just give yourself a few breaths in a bridge. Feel where the weight is going in your feet. See if you can even it out so you're not really pushing or pulling, but the weight is going straight down through the legs. Deep, even breath here in this back bend. And just gently bring it down. Windshield wiping the knees a little bit side to side. We're going to do bridge with one leg up and then the other. So lift yourself up into your bridge, walk your shoulder blades under, maybe feet a little closer together. Lift your right knee up, extend the right leg into the air, doing your best to keep both hips level to the floor. So really use the control of your left leg to help you angle the hips. And the next breath, just switch the legs. You don't have to bend, you don't have to straighten the leg, you can keep the knee bent. And then foot down and all the way down. Give it a couple breaths. Now for the next prep, you can repeat that, bridge with one leg up, or we're coming into bridge with half virasana. So for this, we'll start with the block I like the block on the second height, but it really depends on your proportions, your back bend, your height, all of that. So when you come up, lift the hips, slide the block, whatever height, probably first or second height, whatever works best. Roll your best. Your left foot and draw the foot back underneath you. So your left leg is in a quad stretch. You're trying to reach the knee down towards the floor a little bit. Maybe up on the toes. Just judge to see whether it's efficient or not. If you're really up high, there might be no point to this posture. You can take bridge with one leg up again. But if you can tuck underneath, you can get the quad stretch in there. Nice deep stretch for the quads, up by the hip flexors. And when you're ready, switch legs, drawing the right foot back, or extending the other leg up into the air. And then gently release the leg. Lift the hips just enough to slide the block out from under you. And windshield wiper the knees a little bit side to side. Now keep the block there. This is Viparita Karani. If you'd like to take the full version, I'll show it. It's a lot for the wrist though. It's kind of the center version of side bridge though. So again, almost like you're coming up into shoulder stand, tuck your elbows a little more underneath. Stand, if I can find my balance. Your legs up into the air. It's a lot for the wrist though, which is why most of the time people do Viparita Karani on the block. Legs up, arch the chest, and just let the weight come straight down into the block. So if you feel the edge of the block digging into your hips, sort of adjust so that your feet can go forward a bit. And let the weight come straight down. It is still effort to keep the legs up, so zip up that inner line of the legs. You can always grip the edges of the mat if you need to. You can either close your eyes or gaze towards the big toes. Carefully bring the feet down, lift up, slide the block out from under you. Now, if this lotus side bridge, I know most of you are going to try it, or without the lotus, sorry, just side bridge. If this isn't working for you, you can come back into that Viparita Karani and just hold that position. Otherwise, start off, get your elbows a little closer in. To start, lift the hips like we were going into plow or shoulder stand. Get your elbows really as far under you as your rumper allows. Right hand, palm turns up towards the sky. Sit your hips over to the right into that hand. Use your left arm for support. But then arch the chest, bring your knees away from you. So you're really sitting down into your palm. From there, you can start to play with extending the legs, or just keep the knees together and reaching them up towards the sky. And then carefully switch sides. Come back to center. Get your left elbow under. Sit over into your left hand. And again, from here, you can play with extending the legs if you'd like. That part's not necessary, but it can be fun. Back to center. And bring it all the way down. And give it a couple breaths. And we're just going to come up to seated so you can rock, you can roll to your side. Because most of what we did was legs crossed, closed in. We're going to do a little bit of stretching for the inner legs before we rest. So starting off with Baddha Konasana, bring the soles of your feet together. Bring your hands behind you, kind of let yourself sit up nice and tall. Maybe scoot the hips closer to the heels. Open the chest. And maybe start to fold. Just having your hands behind you may be enough. It doesn't matter how close to the ground the knees are. But maybe you can start to bring your weight forward. Really, after all that in class, it took Baddha Konasana for my earpiece to fall out. And then carefully sit up. Open the legs into a seated straddle. You can sit up on a blanket or a prop if you need to. Make sure that you're seated towards the front of your hips. Again, maybe just hands behind you and starting to lean forward. Get that nice extension up along the spine. Maybe your hands start to come out in front of you. Maybe you can start to walk yourself out into a forward fold. This point I would usually call Prescott over, but he is in his little doggy bed, belly up to the sky, completely passed out. So I'm going to leave him. Deep breath wherever you are in the pose. And then sitting up. Bring the legs back together. Bring the legs. And come onto your back again. Now, once you're on your back, if it would feel good coming into a happy baby, grabbing a hold of the legs, maybe the feet, bringing the knees down to your sides, doing your best to keep the hips on the ground. You can always rock a little side to side. And bring the knees together. Take a gentle twist. So knees to the left, gentle twist. So knees to relax. The right arm relax. That in class, we did a lot of. And then with your next breath, just switch sides. Knees over to the right, reach that left arm out. Soften with your breath. Back to center, hands up on. And then bring it back to center and come into rest. Now for Shavasana, you can just lay out any way you'd like. You can bring the feet together, knees wide. Just because we did so much closed leg positioning in class. You can always put blocks under your thighs too. Just make sure that you're comfortable in whatever position you've chosen. Self to start to rest into the floor. Soften the muscles of the face, especially around the eyes, around your mouth. Let the jaw go a little slack. Let your arms and legs be heavy. And just allow yourself to find rest. Continue to soften into the floor. Allowing all your tension to drain out. Now feel free to stay in Shavasana as long as you would like. Just stay resting down on the floor. Otherwise, start to move your fingers and toes around. With a breath, maybe it would feel good to reach your arms back overhead, press the legs forward, full body stretch. And keeping your eyes closed, just gently curl up onto one side or the other. Taking another breath there on your side. And then from your side, gently press up to a seated position. From seated, allow your weight to sit back. You can bring your hands over your heart. We'll take one more breath together. Huge inhale. Hold the breath in. Relax. Hold it. Soften around that breath. Namaste. Thank you all so much for sharing practice. Again, for the time being, we'll be here at union.fit. I hope the experience worked well for you. Again, please, any feedback that you have, feel free to give. Otherwise, I can't wait till I can see you in person. Keeping the emphasis back in your left classes this summer once some of the restrictions are